this is Tina Varelli with EpicuryCloud.com, and I also demonstrate KitchenAid appliances on QVC. And today we're going to make homemade pasta dough using your KitchenAid Stand Mixer. You can also make this dough by hand very easily. And then later on I'm going to show you how to roll it out using the KitchenAid pasta roller attachment. Mine has a roller, a spaghetti cutter, a fettuccine cutter, and it also comes with this handy drying rack. And I have some pasta on here that I was working with yesterday. So I'm going to use my glass bowl on my Artisan 5-quart stand mixer so that you can see the action going on inside. So in my bowl I have 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. If you wanted to, it's sometimes fun to mix up the flour. You could do part all-purpose flour, part semolina flour, or you could experiment with that double O, really fine Italian style flour. But all-purpose flour is generally what I go for because it's easy and it's what I have on hand. And 2 1/4 cups plus the other ingredients makes a little over a pound of pasta. It's plenty to feed my family of 4, and we all love our pasta, and we usually have some left over as well. Okay, so I am going to start off with my flat beater just to get a head start on the mixing here. My flat beater is coated white here. That makes it dishwasher safe. If yours is the burnished metal, perfectly fine as well. So we're just going to kind of mix up the flour and the salt. Okay, and then in here I have 3 large eggs and just a 1/2 teaspoon olive oil, or any oil you have on hand. Sometimes I use avocado oil. It's just a tiny bit of oil. It just helps to make the dough nice and smooth. It doesn't really add any flavor. And one time when I was reading an article that said adding oil to the dough makes it more brittle. And I haven't experienced that. I've made it both ways. And honestly, the dried dough is brittle either way. So I generally make my noodles, make my pasta, and cook it all in the same day because it does get somewhat brittle. You can see here it just breaks very easily. Okay, so I'm going to add in all the eggs and the oil. And if you check out my recipe on my website, there are variations. If you wanted to make tomato pasta dough, you would add tomato paste with the eggs. Or to make spinach pasta dough, you would take frozen spinach and puree it and then squeeze it dry. And then you would add that with this as well. So we are going to start out here on speed 2 and just kind of get this all mixed together. Notice I haven't added any water yet. We're just going to add as needed and add as little as possible. Pasta dough is a much drier dough than if you were to make like sweet rolls or bread dough or cinnamon rolls or something like that, even pizza dough. It should be firmer and more leathery so that it runs nicely through the pasta maker. So you can see that it is somewhat crumbly in here right now. And you don't want to rush when you're mixing doughs. You don't want to add extra flour or add extra water unnecessarily. So let's just take a look here. And with pasta dough, you're going to want to get your hands in there and really be feeling the texture and seeing where you are. You know, some people love to make pasta by hand, and you can make this by hand as well because they have their hands in it and they're getting a feel for it. So I encourage you to get your hands in there. So it is ready when you can squeeze it and it holds together pretty well, which this one actually is. So although there's a lot of dry stuff, that is just somewhat crumbly there. So what I'm going to do is just add 1 tablespoon of water. And I'm just going to kind of trickle that all over. You could even just start with a teaspoon and see how that goes. Some people recommend using a clean spray bottle that you've only used for water and just mist the dough with water to help control that as well. So let's mix that up and see how we're doing. So I do see that it's pulling in some more of those dry bits from the bottom of the bowl. And it's looking pretty good. So let me take another look here. Oops, stay in there. Okay. So I think it's starting to feel nice. I don't want to add extra water just yet. I want to see how we go here a little bit more. So I'm gonna swap out, since it's all kind of mixed together at this point, I'm gonna swap in with the dough hook here. And whenever you're using the dough hook, you only use speed 2 on your mixer. So we're gonna let that go, and I just wanna see in a couple minutes how well it comes together. And we're probably gonna finish with a little bit of hand kneading here on our countertop. So whenever you're working with doughs, it's handy to have extra. I'm back. My video cut off because my battery ran out. So we're back here. So last we were talking about using the dough hook just for the final kneading of the dough. So you can knead maybe up to 2 minutes using the unit. And remember, we started with that flat beater till we got the dough to come together. We spent a lot of time actually feeling and touching the dough to make sure it was the right texture, because a pasta dough is not a yeast dough, so it's going to be firmer, almost leathery in texture. You don't want it to be too wet. So, ooh, it feels great. So it's a much firmer dough. If this were a yeast dough, it would be much squishier at this point. You can see how it still has like some folds in it. It's not coming together perfectly well, and that's great. You may want to knead on the counter a little bit. If the dough is at all sticky, and this is not, and it really shouldn't be too sticky, you can sprinkle a little flour on your surface. I love using these powdered sugar shaker type containers with flour whenever I'm working with pie crust or any kind of dough. I find that really handy. And I do use this silicone mat here, but just right on your countertop is fine. And to do hand kneading, you're going to use the heel of your palm here, and you're just going to press down and forward. Give it a turn, kind of fold it in half, and I stack both hands on to really get full power there. So it's a great upper body workout and really takes out your aggressions as well. So that's great. So you burned off some calories, and now you're ready to eat your pasta. Okay, so you could do some hand kneading for 1 or 2 minutes, and it's just going to make it a little bit smoother. So we're not really worried about these cracks in here. If there's some little dry patches, that's fine. That's all going to get rehydrated. Not rehydrated, it'll be hydrated. Everything, the dry bits and the bits that are moister will even out during that rest time. So you can go ahead and knead for 1 to 2 minutes if you'd like there. And then I just kind of press it into a disc shape, and I'm gonna wrap it up in some plastic wrap. So you want to rest this in the refrigerator or on the countertop for, at the minimum, 15 to 20 minutes. An hour is better, but you can even make this a day in advance. So, and you can freeze it too, and then thaw it out in the refrigerator. So if I want to make pasta ahead of time, I make the dough ahead, keep it in the refrigerator, and then I like to do the rolling and the cutting and the cooking in the same day, just because it is fairly brittle to deal with. So that's your make ahead tip there. You can make it a day ahead, keep it in the refrigerator, or you could freeze it, I don't know, for maybe 3 months if it's wrapped up really, really well, and then you want to thaw that in the refrigerator. I think I have some tomato pasta dough in the fridge to use as well. So I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator, and then when I take it out, we'll talk about how to roll it, how to cut it, all kinds of great things. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in a little bit.